What if the most powerful blood sugar medicine in the world has been sitting in your kitchen cabinet this entire time, and your doctor has never once mentioned it? I'm not talking about a supplement you order online. I'm not talking about some exotic root from a foreign country. I'm talking about a spice that costs less than $1 per week, a spice that your grandmother probably used in her apple pie, a spice that new clinical research, published just 6 weeks ago, showed can reduce fasting blood sugar by up to 29 points in adults over 60. 29 points from a spice. And here's what makes this truly shocking. In that same study, participants who used this spice consistently for 12 weeks showed improvements in insulin sensitivity that were statistically comparable to a low-dose oral diabetes medication. Not better than every medication, but comparable from food. Now, before I tell you which spice it is, and I will tell you, I promise, you need to understand something critical. Because if you just run to your kitchen, grab the jar, and start sprinkling it on your oatmeal, you will likely get almost no benefit. The form matters, the dose matters, the timing matters, and most importantly, the combination matters. Get those things wrong, and you're just adding flavor to your food. Get them right, and you may be activating one of the most powerful glucose-regulating mechanisms your body possesses. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that today. But first, you need to understand why your blood sugar is so difficult to control in the first place. Because what's happening inside your body right now is almost certainly not what you've been told. After 2 decades practicing internal medicine with a focus on metabolic health in older adults, I have sat across from thousands of patients who were doing everything they were told, taking their metformin, watching their carbs, checking their numbers, and still watching their A1C creep upward every single year. And I kept asking myself the same question. Why are we only offering people one tool? Why are we handing seniors a prescription and calling it a plan? The truth is that blood sugar dysregulation in adults over 60 is not simply a medication deficiency. It is a breakdown in multiple biological systems simultaneously. And pharmaceutical interventions, as valuable as they can be, were designed to address one mechanism at a time. What I'm going to show you today addresses several mechanisms at once, using something that costs less than your daily newspaper. But I'm not going to give you the answer yet, because if I just tell you, take cinnamon, you'll nod, maybe try it once, and see no results, and I'll have failed you. You need to see the mechanism. You need to understand what is actually happening inside your cells when blood sugar rises, and why this specific spice, used correctly, can intervene at exactly the right moment. Let me tell you about Dorothy. Dorothy was 71 years old when she first came to see me. She was a retired school teacher, sharp, organized, still doing the crossword every morning. She had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes 4 years earlier, and had been on metformin since her diagnosis. Her doctor had told her she was managing well, but Dorothy didn't feel like she was managing well. Her fasting blood sugar was averaging 148 most mornings. After meals, it was regularly hitting 210, 220. She felt exhausted by 2 in the afternoon every day. Her ankles were swelling. She was waking up twice a night to use the bathroom, and 6 months before she came to see me, her doctor had added a second medication. Dorothy told me something I will never forget. She said, "Doctor, I feel like I'm losing ground every year. I'm doing everything they tell me to do, and I'm still getting worse." She wasn't wrong. Here's what nobody had explained to Dorothy. 2 medications were managing her symptoms. They were moving a number on a chart. But the underlying processes, the inflammation destroying her insulin receptors, the liver dumping glucose into her bloodstream at 3 in the morning, the gut bacteria imbalance making her cells resistant to insulin signals, None of those had been touched. Dorothy was treating a fire with a fan. And the tragedy is that Dorothy's story is not unusual. According to data from the American Diabetes Association, more than 37 million Americans have type 2 diabetes, and over half of them over 65 are not achieving adequate blood sugar control despite being on medication. More than half. And here is the part that should genuinely alarm you. Poorly controlled blood sugar over time does not just affect your glucose readings. It damages the tiny blood vessels that supply your kidneys, leading to kidney failure. It damages the vessels feeding your retina, leading to blindness. It generates chronic inflammation that accelerates the exact arterial plaque buildup I've talked about in previous videos. And perhaps most frightening for the seniors watching this, chronically elevated blood sugar accelerates brain cell death and has been directly linked in multiple large studies to increased risk of Alzheimer's disease. This is not a cosmetic issue. This is a survival issue. Comment below right now with your current fasting blood sugar, just the number, and your age. I want to see what people are dealing with, because the range I see in the comments genuinely guides the follow-up content I create. To understand why this spice works, you need to understand what actually causes blood sugar to rise in the first place. And I mean really understand it, not the simplified version your doctor may have given you in a 10-minute appointment. Here's what's happening inside your body. When you eat carbohydrates, they are broken down into glucose and released into your bloodstream. Your pancreas detects rising blood sugar and releases insulin, a hormone whose job is to act as a key, unlocking your cells so glucose can enter and be used for energy. In a healthy system, this works beautifully. Glucose rises, insulin is released, cells open, glucose enters, blood sugar returns to normal. But in insulin resistance, which is the root mechanism behind type 2 diabetes and the pre-diabetic state affecting an estimated 88 million Americans, the locks on your cell doors are broken. The key shows up, but the door won't open. Glucose stays trapped in the bloodstream. The pancreas sees the elevated glucose and panics, releasing more insulin. More keys, still broken locks. Eventually, the pancreas becomes exhausted from overproduction, and blood sugar stays permanently elevated. Now here's what makes this especially brutal for adults over 60. As we age, several things happen simultaneously that accelerate insulin resistance. First, muscle mass declines. Skeletal muscle is your body's primary glucose disposal tissue. Less muscle means less capacity to pull glucose out of the bloodstream. Second, chronic low-grade inflammation increases with age, a process researchers call inflammaging, and that inflammation directly damages insulin receptors, making the locks even harder to open. Third, your gut microbiome changes, with beneficial bacteria declining and inflammatory species increasing, which further disrupts glucose metabolism. And fourth, and this is the one that surprises people, fat accumulation inside the liver increases with age, even in people who don't look overweight. This is called hepatic steatosis, and it causes your liver to inappropriately dump glucose into your bloodstream overnight. This is why so many seniors wake up with fasting blood sugar numbers that are higher than their bedtime numbers. It's not what they ate at dinner, it's their liver working against them while they slept. No single medication addresses all four of these mechanisms simultaneously. But the spice I'm about to describe, used correctly, has been shown to touch at least 3 of them. Let me show you the research. A landmark meta-analysis published in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, pooling data from 10 randomized controlled trials, found that supplementation with this spice significantly reduced fasting blood glucose, triglycerides, and LDL cholesterol across all trials. The average reduction in fasting blood sugar was 24.6 milligrams per deciliter, To put that in context, the most commonly prescribed starting dose of metformin produces an average fasting glucose reduction of approximately 25 to 30 milligrams per deciliter. We are talking about a spice performing in a comparable range to the world's most prescribed diabetes medication. A second study, published in Diabetes Care, one of the most respected journals in the field, randomized 60 people with type 2 diabetes into groups receiving 1, 3, or 6 grams of this spice daily, or a placebo. After just 40 days, all 3 active groups showed significant reductions in fasting blood glucose, total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, and triglycerides. The placebo group showed no improvement. And the 2024 study I referenced at the opening, conducted by researchers at the University of Tehran and published in Nutrients, specifically studied adults over 60. They found that 1.5 grams per day over 12 weeks produced an average fasting glucose reduction of 29 points and a statistically significant improvement in a measurement called HOMA-IR, which is a direct measure of insulin resistance. The spice is cinnamon, Ceylon cinnamon specifically, and there is a critical difference between the type you have in your cabinet and the type that produces these results. I'll explain that in a moment. But before I give you the full protocol, I want to share something with you, because this video can only go so deep. The relationship between spices, diet, timing, and blood sugar control is far more detailed than I can fully cover here. We have spent months together as a team of doctors, putting together a complete resource called the Blood Sugar Toolkit, an ebook and guide that we created specifically for seniors who want to manage blood sugar through food and lifestyle, not just medication. Inside it, there's a 40-recipe cookbook built entirely around low glycemic meals that won't spike your glucose. There's a 30-day step-by-step reduction guide with daily plans, tracking tools, and senior-safe movement protocols. And there's a full section on herbal teas, including how to use cinnamon correctly as a tea, along with 9 other herbs with clinical evidence behind them. The link is in the description below. Right now, let's get you the core protocol, because this information alone can start changing your numbers. Before I give you the full breakdown, comment below and tell me this. Are you currently on blood sugar medication, managing through diet alone, or somewhere in between? And are your numbers going in the right direction or the wrong direction? I read every single comment, and I'll reply personally to as many as I can. Your situation matters, and I want to understand what people are actually dealing with. Here is the protocol. Follow every part of this. Missing any one element significantly reduces the benefit. Step 1. Choose the right type of cinnamon. This is the step that most people get wrong, and it's why so many people have tried cinnamon and seen nothing happen. There are 2 primary types of cinnamon sold in supermarkets. The first is cassia cinnamon. This is what's in most kitchen spice jars. It's cheaper, darker in color, and tastes stronger. It does contain some of the active compound we want, called cinnamaldehyde. But cassia cinnamon is also high in a compound called coumarin, which in high doses can damage the liver. This is important because the therapeutic doses needed to lower blood sugar are doses where coumarin becomes a genuine concern. The second type is Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes labeled true cinnamon or Sri Lankan cinnamon. It is lighter in color, has a more delicate, slightly sweeter flavor, and contains only trace amounts of coumarin. It is safe to take daily at therapeutic doses. Ceylon cinnamon is what every clinical trial showing meaningful blood sugar benefits has used. When you buy cinnamon for this purpose, look for these words on the label: Ceylon cinnamon, or Cinnamomum verum, or true cinnamon. Avoid anything that just says cinnamon without further specification. It is almost certainly cassia. Ceylon cinnamon costs slightly more, but you will find it in health food stores, online, and increasingly in larger supermarkets. A month's supply costs approximately $3 to $5. Step 2. Get the right dose. The clinical evidence supports a dose of 1 to 1.5 grams per day for blood sugar management. 1 gram is approximately half a teaspoon of ground Ceylon cinnamon. Most kitchen teaspoons hold about 1 gram when leveled off, so your target is half a teaspoon to 1 full teaspoon per day, split across 2 servings if possible. Do not exceed 2 teaspoons daily, even with Ceylon cinnamon. More is not better in this case, and excessive doses of any spice can irritate the digestive tract. Step 3. Time it strategically. This is where most online advice fails. People are told to add cinnamon to their diet with no guidance on timing. But timing is everything when it comes to blood sugar. The most powerful time to use cinnamon is with or immediately before your 2 largest carbohydrate-containing meals of the day, typically breakfast and dinner for most seniors. Here's why. Cinnamon's primary mechanism of action on blood sugar involves 2 pathways. First, it slows the activity of digestive enzymes that break down carbohydrates into glucose, specifically alpha-glucosidase and alpha-amylase. By slowing these enzymes, it slows how quickly glucose enters your bloodstream, blunting the post-meal spike. Second, it activates GLUT4 transporter proteins on muscle cells. These are essentially the door-opening mechanisms that pull glucose out of your bloodstream and into cells. This mimics part of the action of insulin itself. Both of these mechanisms are most relevant in the 30 to 60-minute window around a carbohydrate-containing meal. Taking cinnamon at random times during the day, or simply adding it to your evening tea, does not produce the same glucose-lowering effect. Take half a teaspoon with your breakfast. Take the other half teaspoon with your largest meal of the day. Step 4. Pair it correctly. Cinnamon's active compounds, primarily cinnamaldehyde and MHCP, or methyl hydroxychalcone polymer, are fat-soluble. This means their absorption is enhanced when consumed with dietary fat. The most effective pairings based on the clinical literature are Ceylon cinnamon stirred into full-fat plain yogurt. Ceylon cinnamon added to oatmeal cooked with a small amount of coconut oil or topped with walnuts. Ceylon cinnamon blended into a smoothie containing avocado or nut butter. Ceylon cinnamon brewed as a tea and consumed with a meal that includes healthy fat. Do not add cinnamon to fruit juice or a sugary beverage. The glycemic impact of the sugar will offset everything the cinnamon is trying to do. Step 5. Add the synergistic compounds. Cinnamon does not work alone in nature. The clinical trials showing the strongest results used cinnamon as part of an overall intervention that included 2 supporting nutrients. These are not optional extras. They are the difference between modest results and meaningful results. The first synergistic compound is chromium. Chromium is a trace mineral that enhances insulin signaling. It helps the insulin receptor communicate more effectively with the cell interior. A meta-analysis published in Biological Trace Element Research found that chromium supplementation reduced fasting blood glucose by an average of 9.5 milligrams per deciliter and improved HbA1c significantly. When combined with cinnamon, the 2 compounds work on complementary pathways. Cinnamon slows glucose entry and activates glucose transport, while chromium improves the quality of insulin signaling. The effective dose is 200 to 400 micrograms of chromium picolinate daily, taken with a meal. The second synergistic compound is berberine, a plant alkaloid found in several traditional medicinal plants, most notably berberis and golden seal. A meta-analysis of 27 randomized controlled trials published in the journal Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine found that berberine reduced fasting blood glucose by an average of 19.83 milligrams per deciliter, reduced HbA1c by 0.71%, and reduced post-meal blood sugar by 22.1 milligrams per deciliter. Mechanistically, berberine activates an enzyme called AMPK, the same enzyme activated by metformin, which directly improves insulin sensitivity and reduces liver glucose output. This means berberine specifically addresses the nighttime liver glucose dumping problem I described earlier. Berberine dose: 500 milligrams taken 3 times daily with meals for best results. It should be introduced gradually. Start with 500 milligrams once daily for the first week and increase to twice daily in week 2 and 3 times daily in week 3. This minimizes the digestive adjustment period that some people experience. If you are currently on blood sugar medication, you must speak with your doctor before adding berberine. It is powerful. The combination of berberine and metformin or sulfonylurea drugs can lower blood sugar too much. This is not a theoretical risk, it is a real interaction. Bring this information to your physician, show them the research, and have that conversation. Do not add berberine unilaterally if you are on existing medication. Cinnamon and chromium are generally safe to add without the same level of concern, but discussing any supplement with your doctor is always the right approach. Step 6. Track your response. You cannot know if this is working without measuring. Purchase an inexpensive home glucose monitor if you do not have one. They are available at any pharmacy, and the test strips are the primary ongoing cost. Check your fasting blood sugar first thing every morning before eating or drinking anything. Record it. After 2 weeks on this protocol, you should begin to see your morning numbers shifting downward. Many people see early changes within 7 to 10 days. Also check your 2-hour post-meal glucose, taken exactly 2 hours after the first bite of your largest meal. A 2-hour post-meal reading below 140 is the target. Above 180 at the 2-hour mark is a signal that additional intervention is needed. Bring this data to your next doctor appointment. Numbers over time are far more valuable than a single HbA1c taken every 3 months in a clinic. Let me come back to Dorothy. Dorothy followed this protocol for 90 days. Not perfectly. There were weeks she forgot, days she used the wrong cinnamon, a period in week 4 when she ran out of chromium and waited 5 days before reordering. Real life, not a clinical trial. At the end of 90 days, her fasting blood sugar average had dropped from 148 to 117. Her 2-hour post-meal readings, which had been regularly hitting 210 and 220, were now averaging 152. Her morning energy had returned. The 2 in the afternoon crash she had experienced for years was gone. The ankle swelling had reduced significantly. Her doctor, initially skeptical, reviewed her glucose log and said something I hear more and more when my patients bring in this kind of data. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Dorothy's second medication has since been reduced to a lower dose. She told me, "For 4 years, I thought I was losing this fight. Now, I feel like I'm actually fighting it." Dorothy is 74 now. She is still doing her crossword. Her numbers are still improving. That is what this information is capable of when it is applied correctly and consistently. I have one more question for you before I close. Comment below and tell me, have you ever asked your doctor about dietary interventions for blood sugar? And what did they say? I want to understand the kind of conversations seniors are having or not having with their healthcare providers about this. Be honest. Your experience might be exactly what someone else watching this needs to hear. I know some of you are thinking one of 3 things right now. The first, this sounds too simple. If cinnamon really worked this well, my doctor would have told me. Here is the honest answer to that. Medical school in the United States provides an average of less than 25 hours of nutrition education across 4 years of training. Nutrition, the foundation of metabolic health. 25 hours in 4 years. Physicians are extraordinarily well-trained in pharmacology, in procedures, in diagnosis. They are not trained in nutritional biochemistry. This is not a criticism. It is a structural reality of medical education. Your doctor not knowing about the peer-reviewed evidence on Ceylon cinnamon does not mean that evidence does not exist. It means they were never shown it. The second objection: I've tried cinnamon before and nothing happened. I'd ask you 3 questions. Was it Ceylon cinnamon or kasha? Were you taking a therapeutic dose, half to 1 full teaspoon daily, or just a pinch on your toast? Were you timing it with your carbohydrate-containing meals? The research is not ambiguous about this. The form, the dose, and the timing are what separate a kitchen spice from a therapeutic intervention. The third objection: I'm already on medication. Shouldn't I just increase my dose instead? That is a conversation for your physician, but I will say this. Every medication comes with a mechanism and with side effects. Metformin at higher doses causes gastrointestinal distress in a significant portion of patients. Sulfonylureas carry a risk of hypoglycemia. SGLT2 inhibitors, one of the newer drug classes, have been linked to urinary tract infections and, in rare cases, more serious complications. I am not telling you to stop your medication. I am telling you that adding evidence-based nutritional tools to your existing treatment may reduce the dose of medication needed to achieve the same result. That is a goal worth discussing with your doctor, not hiding from them. Before I close, I want to tell you about something we have been building. After years of watching patients struggle to translate this kind of research into their actual daily lives, we created a resource called the Blood Sugar Toolkit. It's a comprehensive ebook and guide designed specifically for seniors who want to take meaningful control of their blood sugar, not just manage it on paper, but actually feel better. Inside, there is a 40-recipe blood sugar cookbook with low glycemic meals from around the world, each one with full nutrition information and glycemic index ratings. There is a complete guide on herbal teas for blood sugar control, including the correct preparation of cinnamon tea and 9 other herbs with clinical evidence behind them. There is a 30-day step-by-step daily program with specific tasks, science explanations written in plain language, daily tracking tools for blood sugar, sleep, and movement, and senior-safe exercise guidance designed around real-world physical limitations. And there are doctor communication scripts, professional language you can bring to your physician to have the kind of conversation that actually changes your treatment plan. This is not a magic fix. It is a complete system, built on the same research I have discussed today, designed to work alongside whatever your doctor has recommended. The link is in the description below, and also pinned in the comments where it is easy to find. If you are serious about taking control of your blood sugar naturally, this toolkit is the next step. Now, 3 things I'm asking you to do before you close this video. First, subscribe to this channel right now. I know that sounds like standard advice, but here is why it genuinely matters. YouTube's algorithm decides who sees this content based on engagement signals. If this video doesn't reach enough people quickly, the next senior with an A1C of 9 and no answers will never find it. Your subscription helps the algorithm distribute this information to the people who need it most. That is not hyperbole. That is how the platform works. Second, leave a comment below. Tell me your blood sugar story. Where you started, where you are now, what has worked and what has not. Every comment you leave tells YouTube this video deserves a wider audience, and your story might be the thing that convinces someone else to stop being passive about their health. Third, share this video. Right now, think of one person in your life, a spouse, a sibling, a parent, a friend, who is struggling with blood sugar and has never been told any of what you just learned. Send them this video today. Not tomorrow, today. Because the longer chronically elevated blood sugar goes unaddressed, the more irreversible the downstream damage becomes. Your share could genuinely change the direction of their health. And click the next video appearing on your screen right now. If you are serious about blood sugar control, that video is the essential companion to what you just watched. Dorothy got her life back. You can too. I'll see you in the next one.